Do you have a fear of public speaking? Because if you do, you're like most people. I'm Todd Goodwin, and one of the things that I've seen many times over the years in my practice as a hypnotist is a client who has a fear of public speaking. In fact, it's the most common intense fear-related issue or confidence-related issue that I see. For some people, it's as simple as not wanting to get up and give a speech at a wedding. For other people, it could show up in their business, or as a salesperson, they cannot give an address to 50 people, even if it means they might actually make money. And for other people, it's not something they have to deal with on an ongoing basis, but they just have stage fright and they get nervous whenever they have to speak in front of a lot of people. It doesn't matter whether it's 500 people or 5 people or people you're more familiar with or people you're less familiar with. It's a common issue. So really, what's going on with the fear of public speaking and how do we resolve it? Well, it's actually fairly simple. First of all, you need to understand what is a fear. A fear is an emotional response to some perceived danger. And the word perceived is really important here. It doesn't have to be a real physical harm or a physical threat like a burglar trying to break into your house or a wild animal about to attack you. We all evolved the ability to have fear in order to protect us. And it's a good thing that our ancestors and animals' ancestors actually had that tendency to react with fear, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have survived. Probably the ones who did not react with fear went extinct, and we're left with this tendency to be afraid, especially about things that really aren't dangerous. And that's where irrational fears come in. And whether it's a claustrophobia, fear of flying, fear of cockroaches, or the very common fear of public speaking, they're really annoying, aren't they? They're really frustrating because we know we shouldn't be upset, and yet we seem to have no control over it. So the key is to understanding that your subconscious, which is our emotional, irrational part, creates fear to protect you from what it perceives is dangerous. Now, one of the key differentiators between something like public speaking and something like claustrophobia is that with claustrophobia, or a fear of snakes or cockroaches, there's an actual physical threat that's perceived. But when it comes to the fear of public speaking, we all know no one's going to throw rocks at us or shoot us if we don't give a good presentation. So really, what's being threatened? The ego. Our ego is being threatened by the potential rejection, criticism, judgment of those people who are watching us or listening to us. And that is what creates fear. Now, fear is an emotion, like I mentioned. And as I've mentioned several times in these videos, fear is a symptom. And it's important to acknowledge the symptom and also to treat the underlying cause. Someone who has a fear of public speaking often avoids situations where it could even be of benefit to them long term. So from a conscious, rational point of view, you can call that self-sabotage. They think, well, I know it could be really good for me to get exposure to all those people, but I feel nervous every time I try. That's the conscious mind saying, I should do this, and the subconscious saying, but I feel scared. So we need to resolve this at the subconscious level. The symptom of avoidance or escape is a symptom, right? That's a symptom of the emotional and physiological discomfort, the fight or flight response that comes from being nervous. That itself is a symptom of what? Of a belief, of a thought, of a perspective or perception that you may have. So what can cause fear of public speaking? In most cases, I've found my clients who have had that issue, it came from a sense of conditional self-worth. In other words, if you were to believe that in order for you to be worthy of love, people have to like you, or in order for you to be good enough, you have to impress people or do a good job or succeed, whatever that means, then that belief is going to present a risk, because the truth is there's always going to be someone who's going to criticize you, and there's always going to be a possibility that you do less of a good job than you could have. Therefore, if you think I have to succeed to be good enough, or people have to like me for me to be worthy, that is going to be a threat to the ego, and that's where the fear comes in. And then the whole cascade goes on from there. The fear creates the adrenaline, which creates the shortness of breath and the sweating and the dry mouth and the lightheadedness and all of that. And sometimes, being blocked mentally so you can't remember what you were going to say. Well, that's the fear of public speaking. So the way to resolve it is to change the underlying beliefs or thoughts to one where you know you are worthy, you know you are good enough, no matter what happens. And where it really doesn't matter if people like you or accept you or reject you or whether you succeed or fail. Now, I understand it is important that people like you and that you succeed, logically. We just need to get the subconscious to chill out a little bit and to realize that it's not a life or death situation. And once that happens, the fear goes away. And confidence and relaxation are what take the place. Now, you might be saying, well, how is this possible? Well, I don't want to get into it here, but hypnosis is one of the ways of doing it because that helps you get into a receptive state of mind in which your subconscious is able to change more quickly and more easily. Once that happens, that state change remains, which means whatever we shift to, a new way of thinking about yourself or about a certain situation, stays with you. Where there was once fear, there is now confidence, or at the very, very least, neutrality, where you think, well, I don't really care about public speaking, but it doesn't bother me. And for most of my clients, that's good enough. In fact, 2 of them, as I recall, went on to actually become professional speakers, giving workshops with their business or changing their whole business model to where they actually went out and got paid to speak. So remember, your fears are learned, they're symptoms, and when you treat the underlying cause and you fix it, which is the way you're thinking, the fear is gone, the fear of public speaking is gone, and I can say that from firsthand experience. I used to have a terrible fear of public speaking over 10 years ago. I love public speaking now, and I do it whenever I get a chance. So anything is possible. Make use of the power of your mind and communicate in a way that your subconscious wants to listen. That's what we do with hypnosis. So I hope that was helpful, and have a great day.